You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. It's James. And today I'm going to do something like really unique, really something like that I don't normally do. But I read a book about getting better just in life in general or whatever. And so it really said like you should be taking stock of what you're doing in your life, at least every quarter. So this is going to be every quarter. So every 3 months in the year, I will be doing a kind of review thing, and I'll do it with you, and I read the questions, and I want you to think about them too. So this isn't just for me. It's not like, hey guys, I'm gonna tell you all about my stuff. It's not just that. It's a little bit of that, but it's also me telling you the questions that I'm asking myself, so you can ask yourself the same questions and see where you're at and grow as a comedian. The whole goal of this podcast is to help comedians grow and to learn from other comedians. So if I can also grow at the same time and learn and then share that with you, and you can take those same questions and things that I'm challenging myself with and use them to get better in comedy for you in your life, in your pursuit. Awesome. That's great. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you're watching, you'll see me look off to the side. I'm reading the questions. I'm looking at the questions. So we'll do that there. All right. So first question is, am I enjoying performing stand-up comedy? If not, why? Well, I am. I love performing stand-up comedy. Every time I go out, I love performing stand-up comedy. There's nothing like it in the world. It is so much fun. It's a great experience. I wish I would have started sooner. That might be my only complaint, I guess, about it. But besides that, has my material evolved since the last quarter? What topics or themes have I been exploring? All my topics and all my themes and material is all about my family and my life experience and stuff. So it hasn't really changed. It's evolved as far as it's grown and gotten better. I've added more tags. Every time I do a show, I look at all the content and go back and listen to the material. And I find myself on stage adding tags or saying something else and adding humor to it. So I'm always adding and growing bits and stuff. So that's how it's changed, but I haven't really changed my themes or topics. I've never really, I guess when I first started, probably my first year, I've talked about things that I would never talk about now. And I did jokes that I would never do now. But besides that, no. Have I been taking care of my physical, mental health? How has this affected my comedy? I try to take breaks pretty often for my mental health. I write other things like if there's a joke that I know won't work on stage, I write it in another format, maybe a sketch, maybe a silly satire or humorous article or something like that. And I just do that. That's kind of helps me with my mental health. I will go on walks with my family. I hang out with my family. I do stuff with them. So that's always good for me. What are my biggest successes and challenges in the last quarter? How can I build on my successes and address my challenges? So big successes have included being able to host more shows. I possibly will be hosting and running a new show. That's one thing that I'm really pushing for next quarter. I'm constantly writing new stuff and working with new people on new projects. Some I can't talk about here, but there are some great new writing projects, TV shows and films that I'm writing on and working on with people. They're not like WGA big budget stuff because that's not what I do. Would I love to write, with like James Gunn or whatever, or Kevin Smith? Sure, of course. But that's years down the road. I am also writing a pilot about my life as a comedian and like my journey to getting here. And I'll probably also going to be taking a lot of those episodes and turning them into a book so that I have that and can try to move that forward, like a humorous book about my life and journey in comedy and all the things. Because there's a lot of crazy stories that have happened that one, I can't talk about on stage, but two, you see sometimes in the episodes, if you're watching stories we talk about and stuff like that. So that's a good one. Let's see. How have audience reactions to my performances been recently? Have I been able to connect with diverse audiences? I always pretty much have good shows and good audiences. I'm not political. I'm not like, I don't punch down. I don't say crazy stuff. It's like I talk about family and kids and being a dad and a husband and in the Navy and all that stuff and being a nerd. So I don't never have a problem with diverse audiences. Have I been taking risks and trying new things in my performances? If not, what is holding me back? I have been trying to do more crowd work and also kind of off the cuff improv stuff sometimes where maybe like a couple shows I've had where like I had to go long after my set and where I knew I was gonna have to go long. So instead of just doing my set, I would do like a little bit of improv and then jokes and a little improv and then jokes, a little improv. So I'd improv jokes between there and it worked out pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's something that I really didn't used to do. And I wouldn't really engage in crowd work. And now I'm kind of trying to do a little more of that and get more comfortable in those situations. Have I been networking and building relationships with other comedians and industry professionals? How can I on the daily? On the daily, I am talking to other comedians and expanding and doing things because I believe in comedy. I believe that it's a wonderful pursuit, and that it's fantastic. So yeah, constantly going to keep talking to people and seeing if I can do more things and go more places and do more work. So that's where I'm at. Have I been utilizing social media and other online platforms effectively to promote my comedy? No, not. I'm going to be honest with you. I am a Luddite when it comes to performing or putting stuff on there. I feel like there's an overwhelming amount of it coming at people all the time. So I'm just going to add to the noise. So the podcast is my main thing that I'm going to generate stuff that way. And that's kind of it. Is there other things I want to do? A bajillion other things I want to do, but social media is not my jam. I probably could get better at it. I am looking at a thing that's going to help me take clips from the podcast and put them into like Instagram files, like the shorts or whatever, and the frames. See, that's how bad I am. And be able to put it up there. So there'll be clips from the podcast on there as well. So that's hopefully what I'm going to do. How has my relationship with comedy evolved since I started? Am I still passionate about it? I love it, and I am always going to be passionate about it. I mean, you always obviously have ups and downs, and sometimes you're like, oh man, I feel like I'm stuck and I'm not making it to the next thing that I want to do or whatever. You set goals and you don't make them. But other than that, which brings to this one. What are some of my goals for next quarter? How can I take concrete steps towards achieving them? So really my next quarter is going to be focused on getting a good tape for the people who want to refer me to Dry Bar. So it's really going to be working on that and getting that. So I am actually going over my set that I want to refine down to this 25 minutes. Like this is the 25 minutes. There is no other 25 minutes. So I can constantly run that and have that tight. I know those jokes work. So it's just right now it's cutting what I don't think I want to have in that special, right? It's a weird thing. It's like I have enough material. I have more than enough material. What do I want in this, right? And so that's the part where I'm working at. And so I'm realizing actually here's the stupid thing too. I also always am writing new jokes, right? So I love writing new jokes. I write jokes. If I showed you my joke files from like 2017 or 2018 forward, they're just pages of jokes that I just write stuff. Like I just always am writing and thinking of things, and all right, here you go, put it in there. So I always am writing joke. It's impossible for me not to do that. So that's what it is. And then also setting up a new show. Hopefully that's the goal. I'll be doing something Friday night to check it out, try to see if we can get that coordinated and stuff, and we'll go from there. Have I been developing my comedic skills outside of stand-up performances? That's be writing, improv, acting, whatever. First of all, not an actor, not a good actor, terrible at it. Improv writing, always. I love improv. It's a new thing that I really, really enjoy. I am writing constantly. If I pulled up my other screen over here, you would see writing projects I'm working on for a litany of things, not only for myself, but for other people and for writing like humorous articles. I want to put together a humorous book. That's not my story of comedy, but like a humorous book of just ideas that I had that were like humorous that I know wouldn't work on stage and I have nowhere else to put them. I wrote like a new version of Dr. Seuss's "Oh, the Places You'll Go" called "Oh, the Places You'll Sit," and it's really funny and like it's in the same like thing of it. So just stuff like that. Like I have like written silly articles like your cat is a jerk and they know it, and then like it's just a funny, silly thing that I wanted to write because I just had that experience and like there's no way for me to talk about it on stage in a way that is funny enough for me, but I can write it out in a article or in a style like a humorous story, and then people can do it. So that's where I'm at there. I'm writing a lot. Am I effectively managing my time and balancing my comedy career with other responsibilities? Yeah, I constantly. That's my whole life is balancing stuff all the time. So balancing work to make money, writing stuff to makes money, projects, and then doing things that I like to do outside of comedy. Like I play Magic the Gathering, I hang out with friends or whatever and my family, and then also stand up and teaching and all that stuff like that too. How has my audience demographic changed over time? Am I reaching the audience I want to reach? I don't have like a specific demographic. I mean, I can relate to all kinds of people, right? If I really go out and I'm like, if I had to go perform at a college, I have material that I could do for college kids, right? That would work. Um, Families, older people, they tend to like me. That tends to be my kind of group. My bread and butter is families and whatever. I'm a clean comedian. What do you expect here? I'm not. Am I going to do well in like a punk bar or like a grungy motorcycle place? Probably not. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I've never tried it. I do well in urban rooms. I do well in white rooms. I do well in uh, bars. I mean, I don't have an issue, so I can't really see that. How have current events and social issues influenced my comedy in the past quarter? Have I been addressing these topics in a thoughtful, responsible way? I don't really delve too much into social issues. I mean, I guess I have some topics about like bullying, maybe, but it's mostly about bullying the kids, and how like bullying affected me and spanking in schools like that. Maybe school stuff, but like nothing. I don't really go like hard on political or topical issues really. If I do that, I'm saving it for writing for like Adam Yenser's canceled news or trying to get something published in the Babylon Bee or stuff like that, like or some other satirical article, the Nordly, or just something like that. Like I'm trying to, if I'm going to do any topical social issues, I'm going to be putting them in satirical stuff. Have I been seeking feedback from other comedians, trusted individuals? That's always. How can I use this feedback to improve? I always take feedback from it. I just did a show with my good friend Paul Douglas Moomjean, and he gave me feedback after the show and stuff, and other comedians gave me feedback after the show. So I always listen to everybody's feedback, And the only one, okay, just this for you guys, because this happens a lot. If you're a comedian and a comedian comes up to you and says, "Great job," leave it at that. Don't ask them, "Oh, well, what do you think I could have done better? Oh, thanks. What did you like about?" Don't do that. Just let it go. Let them tell you. If they come up and go, that set was okay, and they start giving you advice, just be kind about it, but realize where it's coming from. If it's the headliner, if it's like, Brian Regan or Seinfeld or somebody like that, like coming up and giving you advice, take that advice, right? Write it down if you can. If it's another comedian on your level and they're a great comedian, they do a good job, maybe take it with a grain of salt and kind of see if you can add value there. If it's a open mic guy or a brand new guy who like you've seen them perform and you're like, you know what I'm saying? Because there are some of those people who think like they know everything about comedy right away. Just be gracious and say, thank you for your input. I appreciate it. Have a great one. And then walk away or whatever. But there are levels. You have to realize who's talking to you, who's giving you the advice, because not all advice is the same. Where was I at there? Have I been keeping up with industry news and trends? How can I adapt to changing industry standards? I do always watch and read everything and pay attention to what's going on in the industry, but I'm not trying to really adapt to any industry. I don't care. Like, honestly, I know where I want to be, and I have a goal for like a 10-year plan. I am on pace where I want to be. So would it be great to have accomplished something sooner and faster? Yes. Thank you, COVID-19, for destroying that for me. But besides that, I mean, that's a lot of comedians were like, right before the pandemic hit, I was on track to be where I needed to be. I would have been there probably a year and a half ago, as opposed to now. So it is what it is, but I'm doing the things. How have I been managing my finances related to my comedy career? What changes, if any, do I need to make in this area? That's a good one, right? There's a limit to a point of doing free shows, right? As you grow in comedy, I'd say probably your first 2 or 3 years, you're probably not making any money. I was lucky enough, if you're listening to the podcast enough, I was lucky enough to write for somebody. And so that was my first money in comedy. It's the first time I made money. Then I was paid to write a web series. So my comedy career, I made more money writing for the first couple of years than I made performing. Now, I still make a lot more writing, but I make money performing. But also, here's the other thing. As a comedian, and I would say this to anyone who, once you start going on the road and traveling, set aside an account for travel funds or a credit card that you use only for travel stuff, so that when tax season comes, you have all that stuff, right? You know where that money went. And be depositing the money you make from those shows back into that account so you can account for it. The accounting stuff is kind of the hard part. Knowing how many miles you went, knowing where you went, knowing where you spent on lodging and food, because you can write off food and lodging, and you can write off a bunch of expenses as a comedian as you travel. So just keep that in mind. This year I wanted to set up a LLC. I just haven't done it yet, and that's probably stupid. I'm definitely going to be doing it by the end of the year, probably next year. It just depends. It depends on what happens with Dry Bar. As soon as I know the Dry Bar thing, then that's like, okay, now I need to push more that way. But I make money again, stand up, writing, performing, stand up, writing, teaching, and then podcasts and other content generations that I work on with side projects with people and stuff too. Have I been able to maintain a healthy work-life balance? How can I prioritize my well-being while still pursuing my comedy career? I'm going to be honest with you guys. I probably only really work like every week, 20, 25 hours, something like that. I don't work a ton. I don't. I am very focused on what I'm going to do. I make a checklist every day on my phone of like what I'm going to do for the day, and I just check it off and go down the list and get things done. So that's what I do. When I'm done working for the day, I'm done working for the day. Like, I mean, I'll answer emails or respond to people or whatever, but I'm not going out like doing more stuff if I don't need to. I'll do stand up or whatever, but I'm not going and doing like more and more work and stuff. Let's see. Have I been able to participate in any comedy festivals or competitions? What's my experience like, and what did I learn from it? I did not do any festivals or competitions, and I haven't applied to anything. Again, my sole focus right now is getting to Dry Bar. That's the big push. Once I do Dry Bar, I'll probably start throwing stuff at festivals, not competitions. I did competitions early in my career. It's not like a thing I truly enjoyed. I appreciated. I learned a lot. I met a lot of people. I grew from it. But it's not one of those things where I'm like, yes, I should do that all the time. Festivals, yes, I would like to do way more festivals at some point. And how has my personal and professional growth as a comedian impacted my relationships with family and friends? How can I ensure I maintain meaningful connections outside the industry? All my family and friends know I'm a comedian. Like, everyone who knows me knows I'm a comedian. It's no surprise or secret to people. I constantly have friends that are not comedians and friends that are comedians. There's not a big deal with that. I do try to constantly get out of the comedian bubble and like talk to regular people and deal with regular people in regular life. Sometimes great material comes from that too. Like, I had dinner with some friends of ours the other night. We're just talking and they're laughing at stuff that I'm saying, and it's just stuff that I say. And my wife is like, "You need to make sure this gets you record. You're taking note of this stuff." So she'll do that. She'll say, "Hey, you said this thing at dinner, and it's funny or whatever," and or oh, you said this thing, you need to talk about it on stage or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff, and I don't want people to think that are my friends that I'm using using bits on you. That's not what it is. A lot of stuff comes naturally from conversation. That's how I am. I say funny stuff all the time. My wife constantly, everyone who knows me constantly goes, "That's funny. You're funny. They're funny." I have different things that I do with different people. When I play Magic with my friends, I do Trump impressions for different things that we're doing that's related to the game or whatever, or I do different voices or different impressions. Trump is the one I do the most because there's a lot of if you've ever played Magic, this is going to get nerdy. So if you're not into Magic the Gathering, don't worry about it. I apologize for this. There's a lot of things like treasure and money and whatever and stuff that's in there. And so we'll do Trump voice for different stuff. Like, you have 2 treasures. Great. Fantastic. We're going to need to take one of those treasures, give it to the IRS. Okay. And then they're going to give it to me. And I'm going to take it, and you're not going to get it back. Stuff, silly stuff, right? It's just being silly or whatever. And there's all different cards and stupid things that relate to it, or words that we say or whatever. There's just a lot of stuff, what you said, huge, right? Huge. This is huge. That's a huge monster, whatever. You do those things. So that's stuff that we do, play around. So I have friends that I just do silly things with. And so we're very comfortable with those relationships. So I'm also going to, just so you guys know, I'm also going to take all these quarterly comedy questions that we have that I'm reading off of here. I'm going to put them in the show notes for this episode because I think that it's important. There's 20 of them. It's important that we all take a evaluation. We step back and we evaluate where we are. Are we where we want to be? Are you where you want to be as a comedian? Are you, if you're just starting out, a lot of these questions might not apply to you yet, right? Like out of the 20, maybe only 5 or 10 may apply to you. If you've been doing comedy for a few years, 3 to 5 years, there's probably a lot of these questions that are going to apply to you. If you're a professional comedian, I want to say this because I know a lot of people go, well, I'm not professional because my name's not on the billboards. If you are being paid to perform comedy, you are a professional. That is what that means. The moment someone pays you to do comedy, even if it's $1, okay, you are a professional comedian. Wear that badge with honor because that is huge. Not everybody gets to, it's huge. Okay, sorry. That's not something everybody gets to do, okay? Not everybody gets to get paid for comedy. There are plenty of people still doing open mics, never booked on shows, never getting paid for comedy. That happens all the time. Take pride in being a professional comedian. Take pride in saying, I am a professional comedian. I am paid to do stand-up comedy. That is big. Be proud of yourself. So if you've been paid, if you're a professional comedian, go through these every quarter. That's what I'm gonna do. And you're gonna get this. You're gonna get that. This is me being accountable and me being accountable to you. So now I'm gonna go through this every quarter at the end of every quarter. So this is gonna be for the last episode in March. So those are 3 months. And then I'll do one June, and I'll do another one in like September, and then another one in December. And hopefully the December one is either I'm going to do dry bar or I already did dry bar, right? One of those two. If I get to December and we're not on one of those paths, I'm going to be very upset with how this year turned out. I just want you to know that right now. And I have enough people rooting for me and in my corner that I know that once I'm actually ready and I have something viable to show, they'll go, we got you. You're good. You're going. Let's do this, And so I'm very happy with that. I would like to, I'm going to be honest with you. There is one thing in here when it said like physical. I would like to get in a little bit better shape before I do it. So I probably need to start hitting the gym again. I don't know. You see the thing. I got a multiple chins. Right? I could do that. But I want to get rid of a little bit of this chubby chubness. I'm not like a fat guy. Like I could never do fat jokes about myself. It doesn't work that way. Don't look like that. I just look like a bigger guy. And if you've never seen me, good for you, lucky you. But if not, go to YouTube and subscribe and look at my face and go there. Go to you. If you are listening to this and you made it this far, please go to YouTube and subscribe. Even if you don't watch any videos, let's get to 1,000 subscribers. I will have enough watch hours. I know people watch it. Please subscribe. Please help me get to 1,000 subscribers. That's all I need. That's all I really want. If you're listening to the podcast, and I know there are 4,000 plus 5,000 downloads every month. So I know there's a lot of you listening. Please go subscribe. If you have not subscribed on YouTube, just go over there. Just go over to the YouTube, subscribe. Please. Let's get to 1,000. That's my other goal. Let's get to 1,000 by the end of the year. I will try to be putting more shorts and stuff on YouTube as well for people. So maybe that'll help. I think that's it. I'm going to put the questions in the show notes. Please subscribe this. Please go leave a review. If you've never left a review for the podcast, please go leave a review. I will ask you to do that on iTunes or wherever you do podcasts. If it's the Apple podcast, please go there and do it. We got bombed for some reason with some bad reviews that were made no sense. You can go look through them and it's stop talking about Trump. And I was we never talk about Trump. I do an impersonation. That's not talking about him. I don't know what it was. Whatever. But it was weird stuff like that. And I was yes, talk about Trump. He's the worst. And they're this is not political. I don't want to talk about any of that stuff. I just like doing the voice because it's silly and everybody knows it. If people know a voice, right, then you can do it. So, I do all kinds of voices and stuff. So it is what it is. So please subscribe. Please go check it out on YouTube and take this quarterly comedy update. Take these questions, ask them yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest and enjoy it. And know that you are amazing and that in order to reach your goals, you're going to have to set a roadmap, right? You can't just drive down the road and be well, I'm going to make it to New York eventually, or I'm going to make it to wherever eventually if you start driving. What if you start driving to Northern California? It's going to take you forever to get to New York. But if you drive from LA and you go across the country the right way, you could be in New York in a couple days or whatever. But if you start driving the wrong way, if you don't know your roadmap, you're going to get lost and end up who knows where. So use this to take stock and to get your comedy career where you want. And thank you again for listening, for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. Again, please subscribe, go to YouTube, like and subscribe there. and have a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.